Okay, that looks good. Okay, Derek, I've been told your last name is Cianfrance, but I don't trust myself. So why don't you go ahead and pronounce it officially so we get it right?
Yes, Derek Cianfrance.
Perfect. Okay. Very good. One thing I was excited before I even had seen your film. I knew I wanted to talk to you because I was so taken not only with Blue Valentine but with the way you talked about Blue Valentine. I thought that's you seem like a unique filmmaker from that point of view. So I want to get into that, but I want to really start off on a much more softball level. The Oscars were last night. Are you the kind of guy that follows the Oscars, has any interest in the Oscars, or do you think it's just an embarrassment to the industry?
No, I usually work when the Oscars are playing. I try to get as much done as I can while that show's going on. As when I remember watching it in 1990, when Goodfellas versus Dances with Wolves, and after that I realized anyway, Goodfellas is like my all-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
When I first sat down with Ben Cochio, my co-writer of Pines, we had donuts at this place called the Donut Pub in New York City, and we decided we would make a movie together. We decided it would be about legacy. We decided it would be 3 stories told in chronological order. We decided it would be set in Schenectady, where he was from and where my wife was from, and we decided that we would put Ray Liotta in the movie.
So there's the Goodfellas connection.
Yes, there's the Goodfellas connection. But we, so after the Goodfellas Dances with Wolves experience, I decided I would always work, keep my nose to the grindstone when the Oscars were on. So I didn't see anything last night.
Very good. Well, one of the things that might be of note to you, just because I'm sure you want more people to see your film than not, one of your co-stars, first off, Ryan Gosling, who famously starred in Blue Valentine, has been an Oscar nominee. But this time out, my hunch is neither you nor Bradley Cooper thought that he might have an Oscar nomination in his future, and he was nominated last night too. Your film will be the first Bradley Cooper film post Silver Linings Playbook too. So you may accrue some benefits whether you value the Oscars.
Yes, let me put it this way: I do value the Oscars, and to me, it's. I would have watched last night, and I would have been rooting for Bradley and cheering him on, but I had DirecTV, and this guy who came in to install my satellite drilled into my roof and created a lot of damage on my landlord's roof. I ended up having to buy my landlords a whole new roof, and DirecTV assumed 0% of the responsibility, so I kicked them to the curb,
Wow.
And now I don't have TV.
Wow, that's something. Well, this is getting far afield, but one of the last thing I'm going to mention about last night is one of the things that Quentin Tarantino, when he won the Oscar for his screenplay, said that the key for him, if you really value, screenplays and writing and the kind of vision that he has, is in the casting. Mm-hmm. So I thought we'd start with you because, again, most of us know you from Blue Valentine. I can't think of a better cast. Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams, they were like, I can't imagine a film without either of them.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, in this new movie, a place before Pines?
A place beyond the
beyond
pines.
The Pines.
The place beyond the pines. Yeah.
Beyond the Pines. You've got Ryan Gosling again, one of the great talents, acting talents. Mm-hmm. And you also have Bradley Cooper, even Mendes. Talk about the importance of casting for this particular movie before we start dealing with the themes of the film.
Well, yeah, to echo what Tarantino said, casting is so important, because I think filmmaking is all about trust. It's a collaboration of a number of artists, and you have to trust who's on your team. For me as a director, I consider myself to be the coach, and the actors are my players, and so I have to trust that player I put in the game is going to do it, and I can have all the plays written out for the and all the practice that I need for the player to get him up to speed on my game plan. But then at the end of the day, you got to trust that player is going to make his or her own magic happen on the screen. And so, Ryan was actually cast in this movie before we did Blue Valentine. I was having dinner at his agent's house one night. It was back in 2007. we had been talking about doing Blue Valentine quite a bit, and I remember she made duck confit, and it was delicious. And we were talking, and Ryan, we started talking about fantasies, and I asked Ryan what kind of fantasies he had, and he said, well, he'd always dreamed about robbing a bank, but that he would never do it because he was scared of jail. And I said, well, I'm making a movie about a guy that's robbing a bank. How would you do it? And he said, well, I would do it on a motorcycle, and I'd wear a helmet. That way I could go into the bank and no one would recognize me, and then I could leave, and the motorcycles are fast and, agile, and I can get out of trouble quick. And then I'd go into a U-Haul truck that was parked a couple of blocks away, and then I'd drive away in the U-Haul truck because the cops would be looking for a motorcycle, not a U-Haul truck. And I said, well, that's crazy, because that's just what we wrote in our script.
He was fantasizing about your movie.
About the movie before, at the same time that I was writing it. So it was that time when I knew we were destined to make some films together, And so I told him, well, I'll make your dreams come true, and you won't have to go to jail for more than a day when we were shooting, because we did lock him up for a while when we were making the movie. And then, when I met Bradley Cooper for the first time, it was... I completely rewrote the script based off of him as a person, the person that I met. Yeah.
How so? How did the original idea transform?
I'd just say 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. You know what I mean? It was. I get inspired by people. I spent so many years making documentaries where I was telling other people's stories. So I really trained myself on how to listen to people and how to follow people and how to engage in their lives. And everything I've been trying to do in narrative film since then is to try to make this collision between fact and fiction, between narrative and documentary, between extraordinary and ordinary. And so, once I had Bradley and I had this character of Avery on the page, I just made a baby between them, and this guy came out. In terms of like Eva Mendes, I was having a lot of trouble casting that role, and Ryan had been friends with Ava for a while, and he told me that I should talk to her, and I had met her a few times, and so I had her come into an audition, and she came to this audition. She was wearing like a pair of 1990s jeans, like high-waist jeans, and a big baggy T-shirt and big hoop earrings, and she had no makeup on, and her hair was a mess, and she was trying her hardest to be unattractive, and she was failing miserably at it. But it meant so much to me that she was trying to do that, and she was so kind of uncomfortable. That I said, you don't have to audition at all. Let's just take me for a drive, So I got into her car. I asked her to take me around Los Angeles, where she grew up, take me to the house she lived in, the elementary school she went to. And we just drove around, and I got to know who she was as a person. So to me, it's really making a film and casting it is all about that connection between me and the person who's in the film, and that trickles down through all the cast: Ben Mendelsohn, Mahershala Hajbaz Ali, Dane DeHaan, Emery Cohen, Robert Clohessy. It's really Bruce Greenwood, and Rose Byrne, it was Harris Yulin, Ray Liotta. The cast was really a dream in this movie for me, and it was much different movie than Blue. Blue is 2 people under a microscope, and this movie is the canvas is much larger. I think there's 56 speaking roles in this film. It takes place over 2 generations. So it was bigger, and it was definitely more time consuming for me to get that process with every one of the actors, on point.
I had no idea. Given your movie seems so of a piece, I had no idea that they actually were as collaborative as you make it sound like. That you really worked with your cast to develop and create those characters. Yeah,
there's as much improvisation and discovery in Pines as there was in Blue. I always get disappointed, for instance, when the actors do the script. I always tell them when I first hire them that the 2 things that they could give to me, the 2 biggest gifts they could give to me, is to 1, surprise me, and 2, fail. I want them to make mistakes on camera. I want them to, if they do what's expected we always do the script, but we do that last. We do that at the end of 6 hours of shooting a scene, just to have a little safety,
Yeah.
But mostly it's just about exploring. I don't know, making discoveries. I don't like expectations. I like discoveries.